Welcome, everyone. We are starting our special meeting this evening. If we could start with the flag salute, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm not aware of any emergency additions or modifications. Do I have I would like to mention that one of our board members is attending via teleconference. He was out of Ojai. Oops. Did I just lose myself? Shoot. I was trying to. Sorry about that. I was trying to follow directions of Zoom. We have no emergency additions or modifications, and we have a board member, Kevin Ruff, who's Zooming in teleconference tonight. And then I'd like a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll move to approve tonight's agenda.
Second. All those in favor? Michael?
Aye.
Kevin?
Yes.
Shelley?
Aye.
Rebecca?
Aye.
And Jane? Aye. That passes 5-1. 5-0, excuse me. We do have some public comments tonight. If they are about agenda item 3.1, we will wait to have those until we begin that item. Oh. Several of you didn't mark what you'd like to speak about, so I'll call the first two that are not speaking about in-person meetings, and then I'll ask the others if they're.
So is, for clarity, is agenda item 3.1 about the teleconferencing?
Yes.
I didn't put anything down on Kevin McKinney, so that's what I wanted to speak about. So I'll wait till.
Okay.
Same for Devin C. Master, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then Cindy. Is there,
Okay.
no, are you speaking about 3.1 in-person meetings and teleconferencing, or a general comment?
I guess it's overlaps.
Okay, I'll let the others go first, and then I'll call you. Okay. Lynn Hebenstrip? Yes, if you would like to speak now.
Okay.
We're on our public comment section, which is general public comments, not related to the agenda tonight.
Okay, well, thank you for the opportunity of speaking. I really, it's the first time I've ever been to one of these board meetings, and my main concern, I have grandchildren, 5 years and 7 years old, or 3 years and 7 years old. I'm very concerned about the possibility of mandatory vaccination in order to attend school. I've been following data carefully, both sides of the issue. The fact that there are now over 19,000 deaths reported after receiving the vaccine raises some big red flags for me. That's more than twice the number of deaths reported for all 70 vaccines over the past 31 years. That, in my opinion, should be the end of the argument right there. Why do we need to even discuss injecting kids with something with that lethal record? I mean, that's more than twice the number of deaths that would occur in the Iraq War and the 20-year Afghan War. So I don't know when this will become an issue with the board, but I hope the board will look at all sides of the issue, not just accept at face value whatever you're told by the CDC. You know, I don't know how to characterize what the information that they provide other than gross misrepresentations. They say it's safe and effective. We probably have all seen mysterious deaths in the hundreds, kids dying on the soccer field, on the basketball courts. The VAERS data itself, which is highly underreported, there's no comparison with any other vaccine ever. I'm not in favor of the other vaccines, but this one is about 60 times worse. So, thank you for the opportunity.
Know that what the governor has so far talked about is allowing personal choice on the vaccine. So
All right.
as far as we have heard, that the parents can still personal, religious, and medical exemptions.
That'd be great, no problem.
That's
with
what
that.
we have heard.
Okay.
Robert Lawrence.
Good evening, and I appreciate you all being here. Been married 23 years. I'm an airline pilot. People trust me to get their families where they need to go. Prior to that, I was a law enforcement officer, 17 years. People trusted me to carry a gun and handcuffs. Before that, I was a soldier. And I believe the reason why the country is so divided right now is dependent upon where we get our information. And a lot of people don't understand what we're talking about, why we object to the masks, to the injections. It's because the last speaker just talked about safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective. It's propaganda. And people who are being propagandized don't realize it. That's why we're here, is because we care, right? We all want to be somewhere else, but this is very important. And the mask is a big issue because we know that the mask doesn't work. It doesn't. The data is clear on this. The director of the CDC said so. Redfield. Fauci said so before he said he was lying. Stanford, University of Stanford study proves masks don't work. The Mayo Clinic proves this. But people who get their information from corporate media sites don't want to look at the information. That's been my experience. They refuse to look at the data. That's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. And we play this game about wearing a mask because of the peer pressure, or we want to be compliant or nice. But we know with the kids, it's unhealthy. Kids need this oxygen. Studies have shown that this is harmful to the kids. It's harmful to everybody. This is madness, and it stops when we stop complying. That's why we're here. That's why I don't comply, not to be difficult, because this matters, because it's about freedom. And the propaganda is so bad that people see me without a mask and think I'm a threat to them, a healthy person. That's where we are. So I ask you, look at independent media where millions of voices have gone because they've been censored from Google, Facebook, YouTube, all the major networks. They're censored. Why are they censored? Why is Dr. Robert Malone and Robert Kennedy Jr. and thousands of other doctors who signed their names saying masks don't work, vaccines are killing people? It's so unbelievable people don't believe it, but yet the information is there. Go on BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey, they're all there. All the doctors sign their name, show their faces. Here's the data, here it is. Just look at it. But what's happened is COVID has become a religion, and people have set their mind and they don't want to hear anything else.
Thank you, Robert. If you could finish up, your 3 minutes has gone by. I'm sorry, our
Thank you
timer
for
isn't
being here.
doing
I think
that.
I made my point, but I do appreciate being here. And I hope, just please look at independent media that doesn't censor.
Can I ask you a question, Robert?
Sure.
Are you still flying?
I am soon to be possibly fired because I'm not asking for an exemption. I don't need to ask for an exemption. I'm not going to ask for any exemption about wearing a mask or getting an injection that is definitely unsafe and completely ineffective. But
I'm just
that's how
wondering if you wear a
strongly I
mask
feel.
to work.
That's how strongly I feel about it.
You're wearing a mask to work right now.
I don't. No, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, are you speaking about general comment or
Comment.
not about the in-person meetings? Thank you.
All right, so I haven't been up here before and I don't like speaking like this. So I'm a clinical psychologist and I work at a hospital. I work for the state, so I'm a public servant. I believe all of you are public servants. Yes? Are you a public servant, sir?
I'm a board member.
Are you a public
I'm
servant?
an elected official.
Okay, so I think all of you have taken oaths, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, to the Constitution?
Yes, to uphold the
believe so.
Constitution of the United States and of
It's
California.
been 8 years, so I
Yeah.
can remember.
Tiffany, and you took an oath to the Constitution as well?
I'm not sworn in the same way that a board member is.
So
No.
you did not take an oath to the Constitution?
I don't know if I took one to sit in this job, but
Okay, so I think it's really important for each of you to know whether you took an oath to the Constitution. Because really, what's all going on is against the Constitution. And I know I took an oath as a public servant to the Constitution, to uphold the Constitution. So when all of this started coming about, I was very scared and blah, blah, blah. I went along with the mask and everything before I found out kind of what was going on. There's so much to say, but let's just get down to the most important thing, I think, is that these are all medical interventions. And I had to do all of them, and I'm still going through, like the gentleman who has spoke. My job is on the line, and because I work at a hospital and I'm frontline worker, blah, blah, blah. So I'm having to make very difficult decisions. But all of these are medical interventions. The temperature taking that was happening, the mask, wearing a mask is a medical intervention if you don't know that. And also vaccines, of course, and being tested is a medical intervention. And these all go against the Constitution. They go against local, state, federal, and international laws. And as we progress, I'm happy to, I won't have time today, but I'm happy to go over all the different laws. And I think for us in particular, what's most important are the state laws, the California state laws that this is breaking. So they're likely, there are class action lawsuits going on, and the laws were put in place to basically protect us from what's going on. We have the right to, there is no medical emergency that takes away our rights to refuse medical interventions. When I was younger, I lived in Germany, and the German
You'll
people
need
that
to
I-
finish up. That was your 3 minutes. Do you have 1 or 2 sentences to wrap it up?
I'm just going to say that the German people that I spoke to when I was younger were in the same similar situation where they were told that they had to follow these laws, and people were asked to wear yellow stars, and basically all of our laws come in the United States are kind of under the Constitution. So every law that's being broken has to do with that. It has to do with our freedoms.
Thank you. I need to cut you off.
Hi, thank you all for being here. I appreciate that you take the time to come to these board meetings, that, come together and look out for the greater good of our children, essentially. And I didn't know what I wanted to share, because I know the topic is that we just stay in person so that we can look each other in the eyes and have compassion and humanity for each other. And so I then realized that I do have a testimony regarding wearing a mask and not wearing a mask, and being vaccinated or not being vaccinated. My oldest son is 18, my youngest is 16. When my oldest was 1.5 years old, they just had come out with a vaccination. It was a 7-in-1, and I was a new parent. And I wanted to do what was best for my son and be a good parent. And so I trusted my doctor at the time, and I gave my son a 7-in-1 shot. He's never been the same since. He's been diagnosed autistic and will never be independently able to.
It's okay.
So I just think, I know we're all looking out for our best interests. But like, if you guys have relationships with the children and something like that happens as a consequence of the vaccination, and then you have to receive that child, I don't think that I certainly don't want anybody any one of my peers in this community to have to bear that I carried, because I knew in my gut that I shouldn't have done it right then. I knew it, but I did it because I thought it was what was right. The other thing is that my father passed away June 3rd, 15 days after he got the booster shot. And it was a direct effect of the vaccination therapy, whatever you want to call it, because he just wasn't an appropriate candidate for this therapy. So I think it's just really important that we're being more cognizant of each other, our health, our body chemistries. We're all so unique. We're all created in the image of God, unique, each one of us. We haven't put enough time into this. So I just really encourage us all to be so compassionate and listen to one another, and also just really pay attention to the facts, the laws, our constitution, mandates. What is the differences? So thank you for letting me share.
Leave everybody else. Cindy, did you want to go ahead and go now, or, okay, everybody else is about the agenda item.
Anybody get a chance to look at those scientific peer-reviewed studies on the masks that were sent to you, or would you like another copy?
I have a copy. You're talking about the books you recommended from the library.
That wasn't me. No, I just asked, we wanted to make it easy on you to show that the science is God here. This science is what determines our actions. Real science, not fraudulent science that is only there to support an agenda that we should all know in our heart. It goes against our instincts, like this woman here felt in her soul. She knew it wasn't the right thing to give a baby 7 shots in one when they weren't born with the whole medical kit. They were born with the mother's breasts and the milk they needed, and that was it. And if we stray too far from that and start to think that something artificial is superior to nature, then we've completely lost our footing and our balance in this world. And I don't know what could be so strong that you could actually make a decision that doesn't represent everything you're hearing today. I don't know what would be so compelling of information that you have that would make you turn a blind eye to what's going on in reality here. And you as a board member have a lot of potential hero capacity. You can all be heroes and heroines, because whatever happens here will cause a ripple effect through the whole community and the private schools. I don't even have a kid in your schools, Okay, but I know that what the unified school district does, and we're unified, right? It's the Ohio Unified. So let's not underestimate the meaning of that word. Okay, and I've been told to tone it down a little because I can get a little bit, I guess, I come off strong, okay, but I'm here because I care. And all these people are here because they know that showing up is the only way anything's gonna get accomplished. And if you deny us a right to show up in person because some so-called virus, then what you're doing is you're capitulating. You're throwing down the one tool we have to keep it real is in person. And you go into a two-dimensional frame like that, and you're losing the beautiful humanity that we all can share with each other. We could really have a wonderful world if we really reveal the truth here and saw what harm these vaccinations have done to our families way before COVID ever came to really shed the light. So my point here is that let's not look at this as a religious belief and let anybody else make you do their dirty work. If you vote in favor of Zoom meetings and mandates for continuing the nonsense of the mask and the shots, then you're giving a big vote.
I'll need you to finish up now. We've had your 3 minutes.
My time is up. And I'm looking forward to having something where we actually have a discussion, because this idea of throwing us a bone to talk 3 minutes and that's over is really, after a while, gets old.
The comments I have are about the agenda items, so we will move on to 2.2 board member reports. Michael, is there anything you wanted to see? Shelley?
I do want to, it's not an agenda item, so I'm a little hesitant to even bring it up, but I feel like the community needs to hear from the board at this time, not about this, I'm on a different subject, sorry, but about where we're at with the district office property. I've heard so many swirling assertions in the community, and I just wanted to make a couple of clarifications. So I wanted to let people know that we are all community members up here, that we are not necessarily all new community members, which I know has been asserted. Having been born and raised in this valley, I hold it very, very dear. And we are, as a community, really struggling right now with the balance between our local quiet town and the tourism in this town that has ramped up dramatically. And I think we really are going to have to grapple with that. And the impression I have from the community is that the school district is selling out to the highest bidder. And I just want to clarify that that is not the case here, that the board really values this community, and what makes a strong community makes a strong school district, and what makes a strong school district is a strong community. That's what we're all here for. I had another point and I can't think of what it is. Sorry, Jane. I'm using up my
feeling more oxygen.
3 minutes. Believe it or not, as school board members, we get a little starstruck too, and fear of public speaking. So I just want the public to really know that we're listening, that we're hearing the comments that are made, that we're listening to what comments were made at the planning commission meeting. And this process was always meant to be iterative. This process was always meant to have large community input. And that's what the Planning Commission meeting was really about, was to hear from the public, have the Planning Commission weigh in on the topic so that our developers can create an iterative process that is beneficial to the whole community. And I really, really hope that the community will come together and back that process. And rather than be divided, that we really will get together and figure out how we can build a better district and community through the use of this property, whatever that may be. So that was all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Rebecca?
I would definitely echo Shelley's statements as far as the community and the district office is concerned.
I'm sorry, it's so hard for people a little hard of hearing. I can't even read lips.
I know, but can you please not interrupt? Thank you.
So I was just saying that I echo what Shelley just said, that, you know, we as a board are trying to do always, like this process of being a board member and running for election and all these things are not things that, like me personally, I never saw myself doing, right? Because I just didn't want to go through the process, really. But I mean, we do it because well, I do it because I love kids. I've devoted my whole life to them. So just so you guys know, like, the things that we have to choose to do are very heavy and huge, but we are coming from a place of like love and caring for children, all of us. And I just think it's important that you know that.
Kevin, did you wish to say anything?
Just briefly, I mean, I would say I echo the broad sentiments of Rebecca and Shelley, and I would also say I think that people should not feel that that coming out on any particular side regarding the development of the district office is a reflection one way or another of how somebody feels about the district. I think you can love the district and still think that the district office should be one thing or another. I don't think it leads you to any particular conclusion.
Thank you. I will add that I did watch the 3-hour and 44-minute recording of last Wednesday's, and I know several other members have done the same. So I just want to reiterate that we do hear, we are listening, and we look forward to continuing that conversation. Item 3.1, before we actually begin the public comments, I would like to just remind those at home and the paper and those who are here that when we put an item on the agenda, it is for the purpose of discussion. And unless it has something that says staff recommends one thing or the other, which this does not have, it's literally for discussion. So I think of it in terms of the difference between what does everybody want for dinner and does anyone mind if we have meatloaf tonight? So the first option gives us the opportunity to say, I'd really like meatloaf, or I don't want meatloaf, or I want Chinese tonight, right? It's part of the discussion. So just because something is on the agenda doesn't mean it's going one way or the other. It is our only opportunity to discuss it because we are not allowed to send emails about it. So this is our opportunity. So in the future, if you would just remember that before you get angry, remember this is our opportunity. And that's why we like hearing from you, is it adds to our ability to talk to each other and to get a sense of what the community needs. So tonight is one of those types of things. We have seen in Ventura County, many boards choosing to return to Zoom. And one of the reasons that I felt it was important to bring this forward was because there are members of the board and staff who attend these meetings who are caregivers for vulnerable populations. And although you speak of your rights, we also have rights in terms of the safety of those we care for. And my concern is that think of freedom for myself. Like if I choose not to wear a seatbelt, even though it's the law, I can either get a ticket or possibly get in an accident and die or have major damage. But if I choose to drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs, I am not only choosing my freedom of endangering my life, but I can be endangering others. So to me, this is how I feel about the masks, is that your choice is also having an effect. And I understand that there are different points of view on it. And I understand that there are medical professions on both sides, perhaps, but I am allowed to read those things and make my decision also. And now it's the board's decision, but we don't just make decisions based on our feelings. We have to look at the staff that is present for these types of things. And I mean, I'm in a room now, small room with closed windows. There's no AC on at the moment. And there are 13 people unmasked in this room.
And the mask doesn't protect you.
So please don't speak. This is our opportunity. You'll be able to come up if you have written a comment. So that is why we're here to discuss this. Does that concern us in terms of our staff? Does that concern us in terms of what we are asking of our employees and our students? And so that's what we're here to discuss. I don't believe there's any presentation on it. Would you like me to do the public comments
Yeah,
first? And
well, if
then
you want, I'll just read one of the other things that caused this item to be on the agenda, is that we have a memorandum of understanding with both our teachers union and our classified union that was signed for this school year in September. And I just want to read a couple of pieces for the board's consideration. One says the district shall adhere to recent COVID requirements issued by the California Department of Health, the California Department of Industrial Relations, Division of Occupational Safety and Health, OSHA, Ventura County Public Department of Health, and State of California. So we said to our employees that we'll be doing that. And then item 3.1 says the district shall supply and require proper wearing of approved masks indoors, and shall require all visitors to use a proper mask indoors. And so if we have employees that are required to be at board member meetings as part of their job, we could potentially be in violation of this MOU because we're not meeting currently the masking requirements. So I wanted to just share that MOU that was approved by this board with both teachers and classified.
sorry, I can't read without it. It's either Rudy or I think it's Rudy.
Yeah.
And again, you'll have your 2 minutes. Oops.
Well, I'm pretty thrown back by some things that have been stated here tonight. Sounds like you guys are in support of, that's what it sounded like, you're in support of this development here. It's gonna ruin this community. It's gonna ruin it. We've had so much talk about, there's no infrastructure built to make that happen. What about water? Do you know how many toilets and showers and everything else is gonna, we have water issues. Everybody's talking about clamp down on water, but you guys are in support of building over a 200-room hotel here? That's like insane. I'm here to speak about leadership, specifically school board leadership. I'm dumbfounded. I almost feel like this is a waste of time, but I'm going to sit here and say what I need to say anyway. The school board members are individuals elected by their community to serve representatives of the public. You guys aren't, I don't think you guys are listening. You guys say you are, but I don't believe it. I don't believe anything that you guys say. That's a trust issue. You, Jane, specifically blew me away the last time we met. Calling the cops, creating a negative scenario. You want trust from us, the people that you work for? That was ridiculous. Are you serving a vision that reflects the needs of this community? I don't think so. Do you think you are successfully supporting a positive vision for this community? I don't think so. If you have answered yes in your mind to either one of these questions, maybe it's time for you need to rethink your position as a community leader and leave the board. Go do something else. We need people in here that are going to listen to the community and be responsible to the community. I don't think you guys are doing that. I think you guys have your own agenda. Is it imperative the school boards are aware of the various federal and state laws and regulations of local policies? But yet, there's a cloth, that's a cloth mask, right?
Silk.
Huh?
It's silk with 3 layers.
It's filled with 3 layers.
Yeah, silk.
What about you with the sparkly one? What's that one? Do you guys do any kind of research on the masks, like that, how effective they are? It's crazy, man. This is nuts. School boards can be direct reflections of their community and serve to meet the needs and the goals of the local school district. And it's vital the school board maintains open communication with the community. If you guys go virtual, it's not. These are things that are stated in what you guys are supposed to be doing. Treating the public with respect and maintaining transparency through sharing pertinent information can foster trust and respect between the school board and the local community. You guys aren't doing that. I'm concerned of the ignorance demonstrated. I seriously am. The Board of Education of Ethics, you guys signed this, right? When you guys became board members? Okay, this is the last thing I'm gonna say. It's time to reflect, people. It's time for you to go back to your oath. It's time for you to let go your ego and serve this community and its children the way it ought to be, with respect to those you serve. If I was in charge, I'd fire all of you. Maybe all of us could replace you.
Your time is up. Thank you. I'm sorry, Brian Briggs.
Hi there, my name is Brian. I grew up in this town. Thank God I don't have kids in school anymore. This is the second school board meeting I've been to. Last week was a zoo. So I'm here tonight to talk about the topic, which is shutting the door on us in the community to meet here with you and have community and have our voices heard and also hear your voices. So once you put us on screen, it's a whole different ballgame. My suggestion is people need to stay home, put them on Zoom just like we have here. Let us come here and talk to you and you guys here and talk to us. I don't like this mask. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the science. I don't agree with any of it one bit. In fact, I hate it and I think it's all wrong, but I'm wearing this because I respect y'all. And we need to have these meetings with you. You guys have some big decisions coming up and we want to be part of that. We want our voices heard. We want to hear you and we don't want to do it on Zoom. So if you guys vote to go back to Zoom meetings, there is no imminent threat and no danger to us right now. You can bring up Omnichrome or whatever the hell they're talking about now, but it ain't here, it ain't real. And you can go to the hospital, look at the numbers and the stats. We don't have an emergency here in town. The emergency is some of these decisions that you guys have coming up.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be part of that. We want to be in the room with you and we want to be heard and we want to hear you. If you decide to go on Zoom, you're shutting the doors on us and you're creating further divide. Thank you.
Kevin McKinney.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. I echo Brian's sentiments. I'm here, and like everybody else here, I don't want to be wearing this mask. I do it as a gesture of respect to you guys. I know this is supportive of your wishes and the supposed requirements and mandates of the state. That said, I understand that there's a decision to be made here this evening, and I'm curious to know what goes into your decision, so I'm going to be listening as you guys decide. When I look at the case counts and the deaths in Ventura County, we see that they're at levels comparable to the beginning of the summer. We had significantly and consistently higher levels of cases and deaths back in September with no restrictive measures. And we weren't boxed out then. At one point, we were recording more than 300 cases per day with through most of the months of August and the beginning of September. Consistently in September, we were above 150 cases today. This month, we are routinely under 50 cases per day. And over the last 14 days, as a county, we have averaged a total of 51 new cases per day. The current 7-day average is at 17 cases per day. Hospitalizations and deaths reflect the same curve, and the data itself currently is demonstrating no statistical justification for the board to consider to return to Zoom meetings. Additionally, vaccination rates in the county are as high as they've been, 70% of the population being fully vaccinated. Again, if the vaccines are effective and the case numbers are low, why go back to online meetings? I speculate that the other element for the board to consider this is the presence of parents and the community members at the meetings. I understand that at times some of the parents and those attendings have seemed emotional, have been emotional, and even at times have been confrontational, which makes you guys feel uncomfortable. It would make me feel uncomfortable. Although I'm not saying I condone such approaches or that I support them, I understand why they happen and why those parents are here communicating in the way that they are doing.
Kevin, could you finish up? I don't know if you
Sure.
heard the alarm.
The COVID narrative and directives and mandates lack true scientific justification, and they appear to be more about appeasing optics rather than doing what is right by the people. The psychological, emotional, and financial hardships on the community have taken their toll.
I'm sorry, I'm
on
going to have
people
to
and
cut you off.
themselves,
Thank you.
and we are tired of them. So thank you.
Master.
Hi. Grateful that we do have this opportunity to speak here. I have a lot, so I wrote a lot of stuff down. So this is something I posted, but I just wanted to again reiterate: in-person meetings are the most appropriate way to convene for our school board meetings. As human beings, we were created by God to be social beings, needing social connection and human interaction. Just as we need air to breathe and food to eat, there's no emotional connection from behind a computer or phone screen. Because our children's health is of utmost importance to me and several other concerned parents in here, the only way to address concerns such as these, such as monumental as these, is to be present in person and in front of one another to hear all sides properly. Zoom presents many difficulties to those who aren't capable to log on, that could otherwise be there in person or don't know how to use Zoom. Unwelcome technical difficulties, privacy and security concerns, Zoom fatigue, and lack of social connection. I personally pose no imminent health risk, except in water right now. I'm not a direct threat, and I am not a clear or present danger. I promise you, or I urge you to please consider keeping in-person meetings that it is most suitable for everyone unless they feel they are an imminent risk or risk to others, or their health is threatened. And at that time, those who do feel this way should proceed to use Zoom, join the meeting on Zoom. Earlier you had compared masks to seat belts, and it's like comparing a watermelon to a water buffalo. I mean, do masks work? Can you, because this is on the agenda, right? So we have to,
The agenda item is teleconferencing.
Right, because of the mask situation, because you said you felt you were threatened with 13 people in here not wearing a mask. So I'm asking you, do masks work?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, then you're fine, right? Then you're okay, right? I mean, do you see? So Tiffany, you stated earlier that all the policies, the OSHA, the California Department of Health, and all that, and when we had spoke about my daughter being sent home from school and my stepdaughter and my niece, and I told you about this, that I also sent to you here, the California Department of Health guidelines that were amended because after the mask enforcement, I don't have time to read all this, I've sent it to you anyways. But anyways, they've given you It's letter E, consistent with guidance from 20 to 21 school year, schools must develop and implement local protocols to enforce the mask requirements. That means you guys can develop a protocol. If a kid can't breathe in class, or parents feel that they shouldn't be wearing a mask, that they can remove them and not be sent home unlawfully. You replied with, and I also let you know the chief of police said that he's not enforcing any of these mandates. You replied with, regardless of the law, we're going to follow the policies. I guess my time is up. I had so much more to say, and I really hope that we can say this in person. I was the president of the PTSO, the Parent Teacher Student Organization, up in Fraser Park. I worked at a school district. I worked closely with law enforcement, and I respect what you guys do, and I know how it feels to be so underappreciated and attacked. I get it. We're just saying we need in person so we can hear each other and have that human connection. If masks work and you being, I would say, approximately 10 feet away from me, I would think you would feel safe following those, whatever science you're following. So anyways, that's all I can see.
Okay, I'm just gonna check here. Like to reiterate that if we choose to vote on inability to meet by teleconference, it does not preclude the board from having an in-person meeting in the future. So if we were to vote no, we would definitely remain in person. If we were to vote yes, we could be in person or via Zoom. Any
Also, there's
Or hybrids.
some people could meet in the boardroom, some people could not. There's some possibilities of that too, but without notice of teleconference, when you can't meet by Zoom unless every single person who's on Zoom does what Kevin did tonight, where it's on the agenda, post the agenda outside of your meeting, and the public has to have access to that meeting. So none of that.
Kevin, the public has access to your vehicle.
They do.
Yeah.
Are we commenting? Unfortunately, I've got a 7 o'clock pretty hard stop. So I would just like to say on this subject, I love the flexibility, and I will say I'm less concerned about the COVID issues, although the ones that were raised by Tiffany, particularly with respect to our contracts, we obviously have to be mindful of. But from my perspective, because of COVID, because of this uncertain time, we have never had so many board meetings. And I have a job, and for me, the potential to do this by Zoom is super important. And it just feels like when I personally, I love the engagement. I agree with all the speakers that talked about the person to person. I think that's exactly how we should generally meet, but having the option when the rest of the board who also work, to be able to say, hey, we've got to squeeze in yet another meeting. We've got to have a special meeting on this or that. To have that option to me is really important.
Michael?
Yeah, I see it the same way. I would note that we have been meeting in person over our last few meetings. And we haven't been talking about going 100% remote that I'm aware of. This is a special thing because of the COVID and all of that allows boards to leave that possibility open if it's necessary. And so I don't see any downside to preserving our options. So I would be in favor of it.
Are we supposed to be able to hear what you're saying? Because I can't.
If the board could make an effort to speak up in their further comments.
I have to say, I love being in person. I want to be here. I want to see people. I also feel that it's not, that there's a lack of respect when we have a mask mandate and you come in without masks and disregard the level of safety that we are asking for. It makes it really hard for us to continue to
I
have.
can't breathe with it on.
And then we have opportunities for you to, we had set up in the past places where you can stand outside to be a part of the
Can
conversation.
you show us the
Please
sign?
don't interrupt, please. Your public
So-
comment section is over.
My
It's over.
point is that I feel like we are at this place because of the lack of mask use that we've requested.
You know, shows the
And
science.
so, Cindy, thank you. I would really like to be able to meet in person. And it really bothers me that we would have to move to this.
We're doing this for
I
your
am-
freedoms. We're doing this for.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you. This is my time to have a comment. So I see the need for being able to be flexible. I see a need for, as it's been requested, that people can be in person and those who feel unsafe being in person can be remote. I feel like that's what we had. I'm not sure that what's being requested is different than what we did when we were virtual, when we had the opportunity to come in person to the boardroom to speak. And those who feel unsafe are at home, which is what I'm hearing the public say. And that may very well be the majority of the board meeting at home. And I don't know if people realize that. But that's where I'm at this point. But I'm.
Masks work, you're fine.
Rebecca?
Masks work when you wear them and I wear them.
What?
Thank you.
That's
That's
religious
insane.
belief. What about having an outdoor meeting at Libby
Could you
Park?
please not disrupt the meeting?
I don't know what the.
We had
protocol
public
is.
comments, you had an opportunity to speak. This is our opportunity to speak and have a discussion. We can't have a discussion if you're constantly interrupting.
Yeah, a discussion is both ways.
Yeah, a discussion is.
No, it's a discussion of the board. It's the board agenda item.
Why are we here then?
Rebecca?
So, maybe this will clear up some confusion. I don't know how much we've talked about this, but we're a board that's governed by the Brown Act. And the Brown Act has very strict rules about public speaking and when it's the board's turn and how the board can interact and when we're violating the Brown Act. That's something that the district attorney gets involved in because it's a very guided process. So like, even though it feels terrible to be like, okay, you have 3 minutes, sorry, we're cutting you off. We're following the guidelines and the rules that we took, like we were talking about an oath, that's part of our process as a board is to make sure that we follow the Brown Act. So when we're asking like not to have banter, it's because that's a violation. It's not because we're trying to be rude or trying to disrespect you or trying to make you feel any sort of way. The only time, like Jane was saying, that we can discuss this is here. And last board meeting, I was not here because I was covered in hives. So I didn't come in, but it would have been really, I wanted to be here. I have never missed a board meeting before, but like I couldn't remote in last time because we hadn't prepped that. So, when things like that come up for the board, who like Kevin said, we all work full-time jobs. We all do this out of the goodness of our hearts because we love your kids. And so for me, I think it's important to have that flexibility, especially now.
I have to say, I am heavily concerned that that the community doesn't necessarily hear what am I trying to say? The visuals and the spin on this that I fear is that we will be trying to dodge having public comment for the discussion on the district office property. And I just, I can't stress enough that how that's not the issue. And I was really saddened to hear one of the public speakers here that I'm making assumptions here that through my words, I somehow communicated that we're not listening. And we've already made up our minds about the district office, because I can assure you that my mind is nowhere near made up. And I really want the public to understand that and to hear that and to know that we are listening and we want to hear from you. So I'm concerned about the upcoming meeting. At this point, I have no idea if there's anything about the district office on the agenda, because we don't have anything to put on the agenda at this point, to my knowledge. So whether the district office will even be discussed at the December 15th meeting is still up in the air, but I do fear public spin on that. So I think what I would prefer is to have a public meeting in person. And if we can't have the masks in use the way we've requested, that at that point we would have to go to a virtual meeting in the moment. Does that make sense?
So we would all go to separate rooms and remote.
At that point, if we have a crowd in here of people who are refusing to mask, that would be my preference. I don't know how feasible that is, but
I think that would only be feasible if right now we vote that we have the flexibility to do that.
yes.
Right, I see what you're saying. Right. I do agree that it feels good to be in a room together and to have members of the public be able to come speak. I do feel that, I remember working through the MOUs, and we have over 100 employees. How many employees do we have?
120.
120?
420.
320. And their union members have requested this. So I know we have 13 people here voicing their opinion and are concerned that we're not listening, but it's not just the 13 speakers we hear from this evening. We also hear from those who write us personally, and we hear from our unions. So we also have to, take that into effect. I think we all felt like when we came back in July, it was like, oh, we could even, just sitting down at the table and saying, how are you? And how was your Thanksgiving? And those kind of things are nice to have. But I heard so much at that meeting on Wednesday and tonight about our valley and how we're, respect and compassion and who we are. And I tell you, to come here, my heart races, my blood pressure goes up. I feel like I got to go to the toilet, and I feel as if I'm in the grocery store and I need a can of soup and someone's standing there and I say, excuse me, can I get past you? And they say, no. I know it feels different to you all. I know how, that I hear you, that it bothers you to wear the mask, but I do ask people with small children in the grocery who are masked, their children don't have to be masked. I hear their comments. I just have concerns about our staff and what seems to me is a simple request, but
Your 3 minutes is up.
I think it seems apparent that, somebody wants to make a motion about having the opportunity. I just wonder if we need to make a decision specifically about December 15th, or just let that opportunity of each person to make that decision. I mean, we have to allow staff to make that decision as well. So there has to be, one person here at least to have the doors open and the lights on and the Zoom going. But
But is that an agendized question?
So The resolution is actually, it's good for 30 days at a time. And so the resolution starts December 15th, which is our next board meeting, and we go for 30 days thereafter. I think our January board meeting isn't scheduled, but would traditionally be on January 14th. And so it would cover those 30.
Can you speak up a little bit, please?
Resolution.
So I'm just wondering though, is the decision for the 15th meeting, is that something we can decide tonight? Because that specifically is not on the agenda, right?
So the resolution covers the agenda for the.
It would cover, it would give it that option for the 15th,
Right.
right? But I think I understood you to be saying we should decide tonight about the 15th.
Well, I'm saying if we vote to allow teleconferencing, at what point do you make a decision as to whether, right, we have a meeting in whatever it is, 3 weeks. So the resolution would be in effect. I guess it depends, you know what, I'll just wait and see what the resolution is.
Or
If
what the
it's-
motion is.
What the motion is, yeah.
Is the vote, I'm sorry, but just to clarify, is the vote to have the option to teleconference and yet there would still be in-person meetings, right? That's what the vote, if you vote yes, you're voting.
We haven't had a motion yet.
But
So
that's what it would be for, right?
I haven't heard the motion, so that depends on, does anyone want to make a motion?
I will make that motion. I will make that motion that we have in person with the option of teleconference. And I will certainly commit to my constituents that I will be there in person if unless I have some work commitment, but I will certainly be there in person if I'm there, and I expect to be there December 15th.
So we have a motion to allow in-person with options for teleconferencing. Do I have a second?
So how does that relate to the resolution then? Are we passing the resolution?
Well,
and
actually, I should
saying
pull that
December
up.
15th in person?
Let me pull that up, because I actually don't have that in front of me.
I also need suggesting that we can't require staff to be here, so
Yeah,
whoever's
that's a
here
good
would have to.
Right.
So if we have
Is that the resolution?
unmasked people, I think part of you maybe didn't hear. If we have unmasked people in the room, we cannot require our staff to be here because it will violate their contract. They have an MOU as a labor union that we have to abide by. So
Is that for you or for the public?
that's for their labor union.
I can
Yeah,
read
so
it
you guys need to be
again.
masked, but I don't think it
It says
concerns the public.
It says
everyone
the
on the
district shall supply and require proper wearing of approved masks indoors and shall require all visitors to use a proper mask indoors.
But that violates California Code 43, which says, and I think would be above that policy, protects the individual, which would be the public, to be free from bodily harm, such as wearing masks, testing, and vaccines.
So are we
So
clear
you
with
cannot
that?
impose, you may not,
We're
under
not
California Code
requiring
43,
you to
you
wear
may
masks.
not impose a policy that creates bodily harm.
You have the option to send a public comment in if you don't want to wear a mask. If you want to be here in person, we request that you wear a mask.
But it's violating California.
It's
Code
not
43.
violating
No.
any.
No court of competent jurisdiction has said.
And it also
No
violates
court
the
of competent
Constitution.
jurisdiction has
I
said anything is
really
unconstitutional.
am struggling with this back and forth
Yeah,
and
this-
argument. So the idea of the Brown Act, as we know, is to allow public comment, then to allow the board to interact with itself. And the board has made a motion. The motion is to allow teleconferencing by members of the board as well as staff who wish to attend by teleconferencing from December 15th through, I actually didn't see that in there.
For 30 days, so.
For 30 days, beginning the 15th of December. So I will actually second that motion. And so you have the opportunity to, if it doesn't go beyond that, or if we'd like to make amendments to that.
Well, I would certainly support the resolution. It doesn't require us to do anything. It leaves us options, which allows us to respond to the current realities as they happen. I would be in favor of renewing this every 30 days until we figure out what's going on. I'm also a little disappointed that, asking for the common courtesy of wearing a mask, which I don't enjoy either, during the very short period of a board meeting compared to life is asking too much. Right? I don't think, regardless of your feelings about masks, I think common courtesy and for the protection of other people to come together, depends on how important it is coming together is, right? So if people are willing to be concerned about other folks, everybody wear masks, common courtesy, I don't mind meeting here. People are going to turn this into a political demonstration to the potential danger of other people. Excuse me, I'm not finished speaking.
When does it end? Just, can you tell us when?
The man is speaking. Please let him finish what he's saying.
I'm not interested in having a business meeting in public because the public is being disruptive and obstructionist. So
Then maybe
it's
you should
unfortunate,
step down as a board member.
but you know, that's the way it is. As it was explained to me, you know, a Brown Act board meeting is a meeting in public. It's not a meeting of the public. And so the Brown Act gives the public the ability to speak to us and tell us what they think. And then it's our job to make decisions based on that input. It's not our job to sit here and argue. And so, you know, I'm perfectly willing to be here. I've been here 8 years, 7 years, right? Coming here all the time. So it's not like I have anything against public board meetings. But I do think that at least for the time being, if we are not able to have attendees comply with our requests, then that's problematic. And so I think we need that option.
So is that a different motion than the motion that Kevin made? Is it a motion to support the resolution as it's written, Michael?
Oh, I definitely support the resolution. And I wasn't clear about what the motion was on December 15th. I didn't hear that in the motion. So maybe I misunderstood.
I don't.
It sounds like the motion is to approve the resolution.
So I'm sorry, Kevin,
Yeah, if the resolution has the effect that I believe we all think it does, which is that, you know, I'm not going to restate what Michael just said, that it provides that flexibility. That's the motion that I would like now to vote on. And as I said, I will be there. I will be there in person.
So I have a motion and a second. I'll take a vote in favor or against. Michael?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Kevin?
For the first time ever, we all went with yes instead of I. Yes.
And I'll vote yes. So that passes 5-0.
Sorry, guys, I do have to go. Thank you.
And we are adjourning to closed session. We'll have to ask you all to leave because we'll have closed session.
Thank you.
And I guess, oh, well, Kevin left, so I guess we don't actually need to stay on Zoom.
We actually do, was Angie's on Zoom?
Oh, Angie, sorry. David, can you confirm for me that we are no longer live? It's still live on YouTube?
Yeah.
There isn't a video outside either, is there?
I just turned it off.
So we are still live?
Yeah, we're still live.
Everyone,
We're still live.
I know, I'm just reiterating to those who are at home.
Linda, let me know if you're not able to do that.
I'm finishing.
Okay, because I tried it and I couldn't make it work, but if you can make it